3 months into my pregnancy, my husband finally managed to find time to accompany me to the prenatal examination. However, while waiting in line to register, in the blink of an eye, he disappeared. He left in such a hurry that he didn't even leave a word of advice. I stumbled through the prenatal examination all by myself. After coming out of the consulting room, I saw the update from his first love, 7 pounds and 6 ounces. Successfully gave birth. The child belongs to her and him. In the attached picture, Yvonne was lying in Elijah's arms with the baby in her embrace, looking so sweet and happy. I was silent for a long time and then left a comment, "Since the baby's already born, I'll make room for you then? It'll be a perfect family of 3. Then I turned around and made an appointment for an abortion and went back to hand him the divorce agreement. I left resolutely, but my usually indifferent husband panicked. I was sitting alone in the back seat outside the consulting room, lost in thought as I watched the couples in front of me. I still couldn't believe that my husband had left me at the hospital and it was during the prenatal examination. How ridiculous. I was his wife after all. My vision blurred for a moment and then I realized that my eyes were wet. At that time, my phone showed an incoming call from Elijah. I came to my senses and answered it. "Juniper, are you crazy? What did you mean by that comment to Yvonne? I'm the godfather of the child. What's wrong with posting an update? She's just given birth and is still weak. Now she's so angry because of you that she's crying. If anything happens to her, I won't let you off." Elijah on the other end of the phone was hysterical, showing complete favoritism towards Yvonne. I didn't bother to listen anymore and hung up the phone quickly. In the next instant, my phone vibrated. It was a message from Elijah. "Delete that comment immediately. There should be a limit to your antics. Yvonne needed someone to accompany her during childbirth. She left in a hurry and didn't have time to tell you. Don't you know which is more important, childbirth or prenatal examination? Don't be so thoughtless." Looking at the message, I just felt exhausted physically and mentally and didn't want to argue about anything anymore. Since Yvonne returned to China after her divorce, Elijah had always left me behind time and time again for her sake. Before, he always used the excuse of her being pregnant and said that she was having a hard time as a pregnant woman and needed someone to take care of her. No matter when, as long as he got a call, Elijah would immediately put aside everything and go to accompany her, but Yvonne had nurses and nannies, yet he still went to serve her without hesitation. He accompanied Yvonne to prenatal examinations, bought baby products for her, and took her out for trips to relax. While as his wife, I was completely forgotten by him. From the beginning of my pregnancy until now, he had never cared about me or the baby, nor had he accompanied me to a prenatal examination even once. I had been looking forward to it for 3 months, hoping that he could fulfill his duty as a husband and accompany me to the hospital once. But he still didn't hesitate to abandon me for Yvonne. He only cared about Yvonne and her child, and all he had for me were scoldings and complaints. All the efforts I had made over the years seemed like a joke now. I touched my still not very noticeable belly, and suddenly my heart felt extremely sour. Since this marriage was already in name only, there was no need for me to hold on. I opened my phone, deleted that comment, and then turned around to make an appointment for an abortion operation. After the operation, I went back to my parents' home to rest and recover, planning to adjust my state. I had hesitated for a long time before finally making up my mind to give up this hard-won child. Once upon a time, I really liked Elijah. When we got married, I had always been looking forward to having a child with him. But when I told him the news of my pregnancy, he wasn't as happy and expectant as I had imagined. He didn't even show the slightest bit of concern for me. Elijah's neglect and change during this period finally made me stop having expectations for him. I would rather not let a child come into this world to suffer if he couldn't be born with blessings and expectations. I rested at my parents' home for a week, and then Elijah sent me a message, "Why aren't you at home?" Perhaps he was busy taking care of Yvonne during her confinement and finally had some free time to go home. Only then did he remember that he still had a wife at home. I typed a reply, "I've come back to visit my parents." Not long after I sent the message, I received a transfer of 50,000 yuan from him. Since you're back home, stay with your parents for a few more days. Buy some nutritional products for yourself and also for your parents. After thinking for a while, I still replied, my parents are fine. I'm planning to go back in the next 2 days. As soon as the message was sent, he replied almost instantly, after seeing your comment that day, Yvonne has been in a bad mood. I brought her home today. She doesn't want to see you, and I don't want you to irritate her again either. I thought my heart wouldn't be affected, but unexpectedly, I still felt pain at this moment. My husband left without saying goodbye during my prenatal examination for another woman. He didn't hesitate to abandon me and the baby. I thought there couldn't be anything more hurtful than that, but it turned out there was. I continued to stay at my parents' home and returned to the days when I was surrounded by love. After a week like this, presumably Yvonne's mood had improved and Elijah finally sent me a message asking me to go home. Yvonne isn't angry with you anymore, but when you come home, you still need to be careful not to irritate her and help take care of her and the baby more. At this time, I was reuniting with my close childhood friends. The time spent with my family and friends made me realize that life was much more than just the world with my lover. I had no resentment. I'll go back next week. Otherwise, I might irritate the sensitive nerves of the new mother again. Putting down my phone, I continued to have dinner and chat with my friends. I suddenly realized that life without revolving around one person was so relaxing and carefree. I suddenly felt that in the past, I had tried so hard to piece together my broken marriage with Elijah, stubbornly competing with his first love, and even using my pregnancy as a tool in the competition, just to seek the love of a man. It was really extremely boring. I should have discovered and felt long ago that there were many people in my life who loved me, and I should have woken up earlier and enjoyed the wonderful time spent with my family and friends. Thinking like this, my mood suddenly became much happier. And I even happily raised my glass with my friends. It wasn't until I lay in bed at night that I saw over a dozen missed calls and more than 10 unread messages from Elijah on my phone. Juniper, you clearly knew that Yvonne had just given birth. Why did you still make sarcastic remarks? She just needs my help to take care of her during the confinement period. We're already married. Don't be possessive and act up. She even blamed herself for making you unhappy. Can't you be as considerate of others' feelings as she is? Among the messages from Elijah, there was also one from Yvonne. Sister Juniper, it's my fault for troubling Elijah during my confinement. It's all because I've been too emotionally sensitive recently that I made him worried and made you angry. I'm sorry. I narrowed my eyes slightly and replied indifferently that I wasn't angry. I'll go back after the gathering with friends next week. Before going to bed, Elijah called, Juniper, have a good time with your friends. It's rare for you to meet. I was in a bad mood just now. Don't be angry with me. His tone was unusually gentle. It had always been like this before. Every time we reconciled after a quarrel because of Yvonne, he would gently coax me. Then I would cry out in grievance, make concessions, and act coquettishly, saying that I was also at fault. But now I was tired. I just said that I was sleepy and hung up the phone. That night, I had a good sleep. I went on a trip with my parents and didn't go home until 2 weeks later. When I just entered the house, Yvonne was still snuggling up to Elijah, watching him use a doll to lull the baby in his arms to sleep. As soon as she saw me, the smile on Yvonne's lips froze on her face for a moment. However, Elijah's eyes lit up. He handed the baby to Yvonne and then happily came forward to take my bag. Juniper, you look much better. He naturally reached out his hand, wanting to pinch my cheek. I dodged to one side. Mom and Dad have been cooking delicious food for me every day. My dodge made him a bit embarrassed. When he walked closer again, he deliberately pushed a few dolls on the sofa towards Yvonne's side. These are Yvonne's baby's dolls. I specially asked my friends abroad to buy them. They're made of safe and harmless materials. Don't take them. I'll ask my friends to buy new ones when our baby is born. Hearing what he said, I chuckled. No need. His face sank immediately. Juniper, don't be sarcastic again as soon as you come back. Yvonne is still in confinement. And why are you angry with a newborn baby? Yvonne was smiling smugly while holding the baby. I didn't have the time to explain their misunderstandings. I didn't even bother to mention that I had already aborted the baby. I mean, one is enough. One is my kitten. After saying that, I softly called One and looked for its figure. Elijah actually followed me carefully, looking a bit sorry. Juniper, Yvonne is allergic to cat hair. I sent One to a friend's house. At the same time, as I just pushed open the bedroom door, the scene in front of me made me freeze on the spot. My original bedroom had now become a nursery. Elijah didn't hesitate to send my kitten away for Yvonne's sake. My heart ached so much that my eyes immediately turned red, and I was choked up and couldn't say a word. Obviously, One was also affectionate with him. And in my master bedroom, there was an extra baby crib. Yvonne's clothes were hanging all over the wardrobe, and the things on my dressing table were randomly placed after she used them. Even the photo wall that recorded my relationship with Elijah had been torn down, and diapers were piled up underneath. Seeing my eyes filled with tears, Elijah was about to say something when the baby in Yvonne's arms burst into loud crying, and she also started crying. Elijah glared at me fiercely, then rushed to Yvonne anxiously, picked up the baby, and gently coaxed it, and didn't forget to comfort Yvonne at the same time. Juniper, nothing good has happened since you came back. Yvonne and the baby have never been as aggrieved as they are today. I held back my tears and asked him calmly, what did I say or do? One was sent away by you, and my room was turned into a nursery. Have I ever demanded anything from you? Or questioned you about it? Elijah was speechless and could only continue to comfort the baby in his arms. Instead, Yvonne, who had just been crying, began to sob. Elijah, I'm just afraid that Juniper will be angry and dislike me even more. I also hate myself now. I'm emotionally unstable and physically weak. How could I not understand Yvonne's thoughts? It wasn't enough to have Elijah. She also wanted to have a home with him. And this home couldn't have any trace of me, including my kitten. Yvonne wasn't actually allergic to cat hair at all. Elijah clearly knew all of this. But seeing her so pitiful and endearing, it only aroused Elijah's desire to protect her even more. Juniper, anyway, for the sake of taking care of the baby and Yvonne, the home has to be like this. I'll accompany Yvonne and the baby back to the confinement center for an examination this week. Whether you want to live in this home or not is up to you. It didn't matter. Anyway, I was going to pick up my kitten. When I brought the kitten home, Elijah and Yvonne had already disappeared. I went back to the bedroom and threw all of Yvonne's and the child's things out of the door. That included all the mementos on the photo wall of Elijah and me. Those were the records of our relationship from when we were dating to when we got married. Every birthday, anniversary, or moments during trips and daily life were all there. All the instants captured by the Polaroid camera were pasted all over the wall along the way. I used to stare at the photos in a daze and convince myself through memories that I was still truly in love with Elijah. But now, I wouldn't deceive myself anymore. Just after I finished tidying up, I received a special call from the head of the dance troupe. As usual, he earnestly persuaded me to participate in the tour next month. This time, before he could finish speaking, I agreed without hesitation. Actually, I had stepped back to the second line of the dance troupe a long time ago. Because after Yvonne in the same dance troupe got pregnant and left the troupe, she couldn't stand me being the lead dancer of the troupe. She always used the excuse that pregnant women were emotionally sensitive to hide her jealousy towards me. Elijah would always persuade me not to dance at this time and then transfer money to me as compensation. So gradually, I became the backup dancer of the troupe and didn't participate in big tours. I just didn't want to make things difficult for Elijah. But now why should I sacrifice my career for love? Elijah couldn't give me anything. After Yvonne and the child finished their checkup as scheduled, Elijah took the mother and daughter home. As soon as he saw me, Elijah seemed to take the initiative to show his kindness a bit. You were at home by yourself. Are you and the child okay? I was disdainful of Yvonne's complacency as she held the child behind him and just gave an irrelevant answer. The kitten was indeed much better after I brought it home. Perhaps feeling guilty, neither of them had anything to say. Elijah seemed to be waiting for me to vent my emotions and then make up with me. but I just silently opened the doll in the courier package. Naturally, Elijah stepped forward and wanted to take it. This is a small toy I bought for the kitten. I didn't mean to take the doll for Yvonne's child. His face darkened and he stammered, "Oh, I see." I thought. Suddenly, I remembered that at first, in order to please Elijah, I would even prepare some dolls or clothes for Yvonne's child in advance. But now I just felt sorry for my kitten. "Elijah, could you please go to the pharmacy and buy me a bottle of compound vitamin C?" For Yvonne's request, Elijah agreed as usual, and she always held her head high towards me like a winner. I didn't care and played with my kitten with the new toy. When Elijah came back with big and small bottles of nutritional supplements, Yvonne, who had been happy before, pulled a long face. "Why did you buy the same things for me and Sister Juniper? They are supplements that are good for both the baby and the mother. Both you and Juniper need to take good care of your health now." When Elijah looked at me, there seemed to be a hint of guilt in his eyes. I was just full of confusion. In the past, let alone asking Elijah for the same things as Yvonne, even if I took something she didn't want, I would be blamed by Elijah. "Juniper, Yvonne is pregnant. Of course, her daily diet and nutritional supplements need to be carefully selected. You deliberately want the same things as her. Aren't you just making trouble?" Later, I also got pregnant, but Elijah made an excuse again. "Yvonne is in a critical period of pregnancy. It's right for me to pay more attention and spend more money on her. You're just in the early stage of pregnancy and don't need such elaborate arrangements yet. What's going on today? Have I become as important as Yvonne?" Before I could reach out to take my nutritional supplements, Yvonne burst into tears along with the child in her arms. It's not my fault that she's emotionally sensitive. I didn't ask for these nutritional supplements either. No matter what Elijah said, I turned around and went back to my room with the kitten in my arms. When Elijah reached out and grabbed me, I just looked at him coldly. "You'd better coax the child and comfort Yvonne first. After all, she just became a mother and her emotions need attention. Don't let her get postpartum depression." My worry was reasonable, but Elijah got angry instead. "Juniper, I'm treating you and Yvonne equally now. Why do you still act like this?" So he also knew that he had been unfair to me all along. But now I just think that Elijah can also be described as being unreasonable. In the past, when I wanted the same things as Yvonne, you only said that I was petty. Today, you took the initiative to buy the same nutritional supplements for me as for her. What are you blaming me for? I frowned deeply, and he became even angrier and kept pestering me. "But Yvonne is always upset because of you." He was simply unreasonable, but I really didn't want to waste my breath anymore. "Fine, it's all my fault. I'm disturbing your life. Hurry up and coax the child and the mother. Otherwise, she won't be able to squeeze out any more tears." Elijah was furious. "Juniper, I've been very accommodating to you now. Do you still have to pretend not to be angry and be sarcastic in every word you say?" Suddenly, I realized that it was just because I didn't make a fuss or cry anymore that he thought I was sulking and giving him a cold shoulder. It's so strange. No matter what I do, Elijah is not satisfied. Forget it. Having no intention to argue, I went straight back to my room to play with the kitten. I didn't know where it had gone and got dirty all over. After packing the cat bag, I was ready to take it to the pet center to take a bath. Just as I walked out of the room, Elijah saw me carrying the cat bag and walked forward with a slight frown. "Juniper, I'll take the kitten to take a bath when I'm free another day. And by the way, we can do the deworming." When he reached out to take the cat bag, I took a step back. "Last time you also said another day. When exactly is your another day? I'd better take the kitten to go today." He averted his eyes a bit. "Juniper, I know that I've been neglecting you recently because I've been busy taking care of Yvonne, but she just gave birth and really can't do without me. And think about it, if I take care of her, I'll have experience in taking care of you in the future." I just found his righteous words a bit funny. "Thank you then. I'll leave now." He was originally going to send me off, but Yvonne called out that she was hungry and he decided to stay. "You stay with the kitten. I'll pick you up later." I refused without hesitation. "No need." My repeated refusals made him unhappy. "What on earth do you mean? I said I'd take the kitten to take a bath, and you didn't like it. Now I've taken a step back and said I'd pick you up, but you're still reluctant. Did I still seem ungrateful to Elijah? Before, you also said you'd pick us up, but that time we waited until the pet center closed and you still didn't come. You yourself said it was troublesome. Before that, when you sent the kitten to take a bath, you forgot it at the center for a whole day and night. It almost ran away and got lost. Elijah stared at me without blinking, speechless, but couldn't hide his anger. In the past, when I used the kitten as an excuse to ask him to spend more time with me, he always said that he was already tired of taking care of me and the kitten was just adding to his burden. What had he taken care of me? Now that the kitten and I don't need him anymore, he's angry again. He seemed to be testing me. Yvonne will stay at home for a while longer. I didn't care. Anyway, I was leaving soon. When I was packing my luggage to participate in the dance troupe's tour, Elijah happened to see me. He went crazy and kicked my suitcase aside. What's wrong with you? Are you trying to separate or run away from home? Do you have to make a fuss to get attention? I just felt speechless and repacked my suitcase. It's the dance troupe's tour. As the lead dancer, I'm going to participate. After I said that, his face was full of disbelief. Didn't we agree that you wouldn't be the lead dancer and wouldn't go on tours anymore? What about Yvonne? Besides, you're pregnant. How can you be alone outside? Before I could refute anything, he lowered his head first. Yes, I was pregnant, but before, he left me alone in the hospital. And before he knew that I had gone back to my parents' home, he didn't even ask about me. I was used to being abandoned by him. When I first started dating Elijah, my first lead dancer performance happened to be on Valentine's Day, and he broke his promise and didn't come at the last minute. He went to accompany Yvonne, who had failed the selection, to relieve her mood for a night. Later, we got our marriage license. On the wedding day, during the ring exchange part, he left the wedding scene because of a phone call. It was because Yvonne had a stomachache and needed to go to the hospital. As a newlywed bride, I stayed alone in the empty room for a week. After I got pregnant, one day when I was on my way home from work, there was a typhoon and heavy rain. He drove to Yvonne's company regardless of the danger to pick her up and take her home. I almost had a miscarriage on my way home. I rested at home for half a month, but he didn't show up. From the past until now, it turned out that I had been abandoned many times. It's just that I had always beautified everything with those beautiful moments. Elijah, I can be alone all the time. When I said this calmly while recalling all the past events, he seemed to understand tacitly. His tone was full of guilt. Juniper, I'll try my best not to leave you alone in the future. Before he could finish his words, Yvonne stood at the door at some point, covering her chest, crying, and fell to her knees on the ground. Elijah, I can't dance anymore. I'm not an excellent dancer. Now the baby seems to have a fever. I'm not a good mother. Why can't I do anything well? Elijah didn't hesitate to pick up Yvonne and gently comforted her. Then he rushed to the child's side to check carefully and took them both to the hospital. I was abandoned again. The next day, I practiced dancing in the dance troupe all day. In the evening, when I was having a party with my colleagues, she handed me her mobile phone to show me Yvonne's updates. Then I remembered that today was Elijah's birthday. It was also our wedding anniversary. I still remembered that Elijah said that he thought the best birthday gift was me walking into his life, so he chose to get the marriage license with me on his birthday. At first, the significance of our wedding anniversary was greater than his birthday, so there was always a gift for me. Later, Yvonne would accompany Elijah to celebrate his birthday every year, and instead, there was nothing worth celebrating for our wedding anniversary. Looking at the two people who used to be so close and now the happy family of 3, they really seemed to be enjoying themselves. Well, I didn't want to celebrate our wedding anniversary anymore either. Just as I got home, Elijah called me. Juniper, I'll come home tonight. I haven't forgotten that today is our wedding anniversary. Yvonne's in a bad mood because the baby is sick. I'll spend more time with her and the child. I'll come back alone later. Don't be angry, okay? How could I be angry? I couldn't wait for Yvonne to make Elijah stay with her in the hospital all night. When the doorbell rang in the middle of the night, I thought it would be Elijah, holding a whole bunch of roses in his hands. It seemed that he sneaked home after Yvonne fell asleep. "Happy wedding anniversary, honey." He smiled brightly at me, and there seemed to be an expectation in his eyes for my delighted response and praise. I just took a step back and asked him to close the door when he came in. After a moment of silence, he forced a smile again and handed the roses to me. "Didn't you say before that I'm not as romantic as before? Think about it. I haven't given you flowers before." I ran around more than half of the city to find a flower shop that was still open tonight. After a pause, "Elijah, I'm allergic to pollen." As soon as he finished speaking, his smile froze on his face, and then guilt filled his eyes. "Juniper, it's all my fault. I've always remembered that you're allergic to pollen, so I never sent you flowers. I've just been so busy lately that I forgot." I didn't really care anymore and just nodded slightly. He put the roses outside the door and then came closer to me. "How about we properly celebrate our wedding anniversary tomorrow? Just the two of us." I was a bit surprised. Before, I was extremely bothered by the fact that Yvonne was his first love, and I didn't want her to be around on our anniversary. But Elijah always said that she was just there to celebrate his birthday with him. It was useless no matter how many times I said I didn't want the three of us to celebrate the anniversary together. Even when I asked him to postpone celebrating his birthday with Yvonne by one day, he refused. "My birthday is today, not tomorrow. Why should it be postponed by one day? Yvonne took the time specially just to make me happy on my birthday. Why do you always annoy me?" Last year, I was so angry when I heard him say that my stomach hurt. I locked myself in the bedroom out of spite and didn't go to celebrate with them. As a result, the two of them happily went to the beach, lit candles and watched fireworks, while I fainted at home from the stomach pain and couldn't even get through to him on the phone. When Elijah came home, he didn't care at all that I was sweating profusely and my lips were pale. It wasn't until I woke up and asked him to help me find some medicine that he was rather impatient. "We could have had a happy birthday, but you had to be so willful. Yvonne didn't even have a good time and we had to go home. Now that I don't care about his birthday or our anniversary anymore, he wants to celebrate just the two of us." I shook my head without hesitation, repeating what he had said before. "The anniversary is today, not tomorrow. Why should it be postponed by one day?" Elijah's face darkened, but he didn't insist anymore. In the days after bringing Yvonne home, Elijah became a bit more concerned about me than before. Like he did with Yvonne, he prepared nutritious meals for pregnant women for me and would also prepare baby supplies in advance. However, she didn't get special treatment anymore and would often become emotionally sensitive and cry constantly, but now Elijah wasn't as nervous and patient as before. He would even coldly wait for her to stop crying and then ask if she had calmed down her emotions. After Elijah coldly dealt with Yvonne's emotional sensitivity several times, she became much more emotionally stable. When he told me that Yvonne wasn't as troublesome as before, it seemed that he was waiting for me to give him approval. I had nothing to say. I didn't know that Yvonne was in the early stage of pregnancy. I caught Elijah going to her house time and time again. During an argument, I accidentally bumped into her and coincidentally, she bled. For the first time, Elijah pointed at me and shouted abuse, almost causing Yvonne to have a miscarriage. He said that I was vicious and would kill the unborn child. Since then, whenever Elijah was by my side, her stomach would hurt and her emotions would become unstable. But she could eat and drink well during pregnancy, and even the pregnancy symptoms were more obvious in Elijah. How could she be that fragile? I told Elijah not to overstep his boundaries and worry as if he were the father, but all I got were repeated scoldings. Gradually, the child in Yvonne's belly became her weapon. When Elijah celebrated my successful performance, she would have severe morning sickness and need to go to the hospital. When Elijah accompanied me on my birthday or to visit my parents, she would cover her stomach and blame herself for losing control of her emotions and needing someone to accompany her. After Elijah left me for her time and time again, I had long become a wife in name only. It wasn't that he didn't understand that his concern for Yvonne and his actions were just like those of a husband. It was just that he couldn't bear to see Yvonne having a hard time as a single mother. As for me, my husband was just a name. Fortunately, I woke up in time. Whether it's the child or the position of a wife, if I can't keep him, I'll let go early. I can always be on my own. During the period before setting off for the tour, I treated Elijah politely as if he were a roommate, but he was eager to get close to me. Before, he could leave me alone in the hospital, but now he cared about me and the child in every way and even reserved prenatal checkups for me in advance. When he was smiling and ready with the prenatal checkup handbook and was about to take me to the hospital, I was just about to mention the abortion when Yvonne showed up again, crying nonstop while holding the fussy child and even sitting by the window. Elijah just had a cold expression on his face. Yvonne, Juniper is also pregnant. You can't always be so emotional. From the time you got divorced, got pregnant, gave birth and were in confinement, I know it hasn't been easy for you alone, so I've put you first and taken care of you in every detail. But Yvonne, you should know that I'm not your husband. Juniper is my wife, and the child in her belly is my child. Yvonne burst into loud sobs after hearing what Elijah said, with disbelief in her eyes. Crying, she held the child and moved closer to the window. Yvonne, stop making trouble. Don't use the child to vie for attention anymore. When half of Yvonne's body was leaning out of the window, Elijah panicked. He threw the prenatal checkup handbook on the ground, rushed forward, pulled Yvonne and the child back and hugged them tightly, promising to accompany them for a lifetime. Looking at the backs of the two clinging tightly to each other, I didn't care anymore. After sending the kitten to my parents' home, I arrived at the hotel where the dance troupe gathered on time before setting off for the tour. Before the tour, the dancers still needed to confirm many details. Before I knew it, the meeting lasted until 1 o'clock in the morning. After returning to my room, I found that there were over a dozen missed calls on my mobile phone, all from Elijah. Not wanting to respond, just as I put down the phone, he called again. Juniper, Yvonne really shows signs of postpartum depression this time. I've already brought her and the child to the hospital. I didn't have time to take care of you just now. Where are you? Don't be angry. When she gets better, I'll accompany you to the prenatal checkup. Elijah on the other end of the phone couldn't hide his anxiety and kept explaining to me. There's no need for the prenatal checkup. I said coldly, I'm with the members of the dance troupe. We're going on the tour tomorrow. After a moment of silence, I was just about to hang up the phone. Let me accompany you on the tour, Juniper. That was really rare. Yvonne was still in the hospital, and might even have postpartum depression. Elijah, who always put Yvonne first, actually offered to accompany me on the tour. I smiled helplessly. You just take care of your own business. Then I'll see you off tomorrow. Where are you? I couldn't remember how long it had been since I heard Elijah say that he would pick me up or see me off. A long time ago, when Yvonne and I were in the same dance troupe, no matter whether it was windy or rainy, Elijah would pick us up and drop us off. Of course, I was never the one sitting in the passenger seat. Later, whenever I had a performance or went on a business trip, he wouldn't see me off because he had to stay at home with Yvonne and couldn't leave for a moment. No need. I'll go with the members. If there's nothing else, I'll hang up. He softly wanted to say something to make me stay but only said good night. But soon after I received a teasing message from the head of the dance troupe. Juniper, are you and Elijah having a quarrel? He's asking me for the address because he wants to see you off tomorrow. The next morning the members of the troupe left in groups, joking with each other. I waited at the hotel entrance for a long time. Although the sun was shining brightly, the wind made it a bit chilly. Until I arrived at the tour destination, as usual, there wasn't a single call or message from Elijah. The tour schedule was tight, and I had to travel with the dance troupe to perform in different cities. When I was busy, I didn't have time to reply to Elijah's messages. Every time I opened my phone, I could see a bunch of unread messages from him. Juniper, I didn't have time to see you off that day because Yvonne really couldn't be left alone. Are you angry? That's why you left without waiting for me again. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I've ordered flowers to be sent to the performance venue. I also bought you some nutritional products. Give me the address of your hotel and I'll send them to you. How's your health? How's the child? Take care. Juniper, don't ignore me. Judging from his messages, he probably hadn't had time to go home and see the document I left for him. A week later, when we were performing in a new city, all the members of the dance troupe received congratulatory gifts prepared by Elijah. I had no choice but to reply politely with a message thanking him for his support for the troupe. In the next second, I received a call from him. Juniper, you've finally decided to talk to me. His voice was a bit hoarse and even choked up a little. Thank you for your support for the troupe, but you don't need to send anything for the rest of the tour. Juniper, you used to really want me to pay more attention to your performances. However, I'll always remember how he smiled at another woman in the summer when I was 18 years old. After a pause, did you see the document at home? He immediately changed the topic. The head of the troupe said you can take a break for the next performance. Go home, and I'll pick you up. No need. Even if I'm not performing, I'll still follow the troupe. I refused without hesitation and he sounded really anxious. But Juniper, it's the anniversary of my parents' death in a week. My heart tightened. Elijah's parents committed suicide. He had never told me the reason. It was just that on that day every year, I would obediently wait at home for him to come back from sweeping the tombs. I always thought that it was a secret place that he guarded from everyone. Before I could wait for the chance to get closer to him, I found that Yvonne accompanied him to sweep the tombs every year. I had never really entered his heart. Thinking about it, I just shook my head gently. I'm very busy. I didn't expect that Elijah would follow me to the next city on the tour. Juniper, I really can't leave you. It's not just on the anniversary of my parents' death today. Every day, I need you. As soon as he saw me, he hugged me tightly in his arms. I know that I was busy taking care of Yvonne during her pregnancy these days and neglected you, but I promise that I'll love you wholeheartedly from now on. Let's not get divorced, okay? He had already opened the document I left for him. It was the divorce agreement that I had already signed. I pushed him away coldly and his eyes turned red. Juniper, it's not just the two of us now. We also have a child. Even for the sake of the child, please give me another chance and let me be a good husband and a good father. Child? All I could think of was the disgusted expression on his face when he faced my child. The words he said about not wanting the child, and the scene where he left me alone in the hospital during my prenatal checkup. I said calmly, Elijah, I forgot to tell you that I had an abortion after the last prenatal checkup. He stood there in a daze for a long time before he came to his senses and then he burst into tears and tightly held my hand. Juniper, you're all I have left. You loved me so much and were so looking forward to the arrival of our child. How could you abandon him and me? Before, I wanted him to love me and the child. I wanted a happy family of 3. But I had been given up by Elijah, so I gave up on him too. In my determined eyes, he didn't dare to ask for an answer anymore and just looked at me sadly. The phone kept ringing, and Yvonne's name was flashing on the screen. When it was finally answered, she was shouting hysterically on the other end of the phone, Elijah, I don't want to live anymore. Could you come and see me and the child one last time? Elijah was still tightly gripping my hand and said coldly to the phone, if you have postpartum problems, go see a doctor. By the time he hung up the phone, I had already broken free from his hand and returned to the dance troupe without looking back. A peaceful week passed. When I received Elijah's message again, he told me that Yvonne had committed suicide due to postpartum depression and passed away after the rescue was ineffective. Somehow, all I felt was sympathy. Even though she had always used her pregnancy as an excuse to snatch Elijah away from me time and time again, she was pitiful after all, as she had always been emotionally dependent on men. After that, Elijah often flew to the cities where I was on tour to watch my performances. Each time, I just stood among the troupe members as a dancer and thanked him. Later, in order to be able to see me outside the performance time, he even merged his company with the previous competitors, just to accompany me from one city to another. I knew that he was trying to hold on to me. Since I filed for divorce, the countdown had officially begun for our relationship. I really didn't need him anymore. With the tour, I became quite famous and received offers for overseas tours. When I was about to start the first stop of the overseas tour at the airport, I unexpectedly ran into Elijah. He was on the same flight. He had big and small bags full of kitchen utensils, as well as domestic seasonings and cookbooks. Juniper, I can also take good care of you abroad. You have a stomach problem. How could you get used to foreign food? I'll accompany you and cook 3 meals a day for you. I took his plane ticket and had a look. It was even the seat next to mine. Elijah, that's not where you should go. After saying that, his eyes turned red. Even without Yvonne between us, you still won't forgive me, right? I just said faintly, regarding the divorce, don't delay it any longer. You know it's too late for everything. He clenched the plane ticket tightly in his hand and didn't say a word. Until the plane took off, the seat beside me was still empty. I think on the other side of the Pacific Ocean, there is a brand new and brilliant life waiting for me alone.